guys, this is Tina from Shabbydabbydoodah. Welcome back to my channel. So I'm here with a bit of a sort of play around, or I'm here to have a bit of a play around, perhaps I should say, to make some stitched labels. Now I did some stitch labels, oh gosh, a really long time ago, could even be 3 years ago or something, where we just did some stitch labels using some food colour paper. So what I want to do today is have a bit more of a play with that kind of concept, but going a stage further. So I can't unfortunately take you over to the sewing machine because I haven't got enough room on that desk to actually put my camera kind of hanging over. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and do it, and then I'll come back and show you, and hopefully, you know, it'll all make sense. So I've got here a bunch of food coloured papers. Oops, let me just take that out. A bunch of food coloured papers. Now, this one, it's a kind of peachy colour, so a bit more sort of coffee dyed. I've got obviously all different colours here. Now these are all on, I think I'm right in saying they're 120 GSM. So they're thicker than copy paper. They're not as thick as card. Now I'm not saying that you couldn't use copy paper. I'm not saying you couldn't use card. I've chosen to use this because I think copy paper possibly would tear a little bit. And also we're going to be gluing these down, and, you know, I don't want to kind of have glue showing through the paper along with the lines. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to take these bits of paper. Now they're not full A4 sheets, although this one is. But all I'm going to do, I'm going to take them across my sewing machine, and I'm going to stitch straight lines right across the paper. Now when I say straight lines, obviously we're talking about me here. They're not really going to be very straight. So I haven't tried any of these. I maybe won't even be able to stitch as straight as, you know, as I'd like to think. In which case, of course, this will not go up. You know, this video won't go up because it will just be a complete disaster. But fingers crossed, I'm going to hope for the best. So I'm going to try and just stitch a bunch of lines across my sheets of paper. Now, I might or might not do, you know, several of these. We'll see how long it takes. If I get bored kind of after one sheet, we'll just do one. And then I'll come back. So I will be back in a minute. Right, I'm back from the sewing machine. So yes, my boredom did kick in before I could stitch too many. Oops, I've got one of those needle threaders which pulled apart when I was at the sewing machine. So yeah, I've got some rubbish here. Right, okay, so what I did, I have stitched this one on this, you know, pale bluey greeny coloured food coloured paper. I have stitched this little strip that I had on this pink paper. And as you can see, you know, I've just kind of literally left, oh, I don't know what that is, maybe ½ centimetre. Let me have a look on my, oh my goodness, on my mat. Well, I mean, yeah, between 1 centimetre and ½ centimetre gap between. Obviously, I just judged that by eye. I didn't measure anything like that. But I just went back and forth down the whole strip of paper. And I did that, obviously, on all of them. Again, you can see, you know, I've gone pretty wonky in places. I don't think that matters. Personally, I think that all adds to the sort of charm of these. And then I did this one. This is on my pale lace papers. And again, I did exactly the same, just went back and forth. And we've got, you know, like with the other ones, you know, wider and smaller spaces in between the stitching. Doesn't matter. But these are going to be your guidelines to be able to journal on. You know, I don't know about you, but I'm not brilliant at writing in straight lines. Not that these are straight, but, you know, sorry, I just had to stop the video there and sneeze. Yes, not that these are straight, but you know what I mean. You know, these are going to give you a little guidance area on which to journal. So what are we going to do now? So I've pulled in, this again is my pale lace papers, and I've got here this pink one, which goes obviously really nicely on here. Now, I don't know whether this is going to look better, you know, large, small, torn or cut. So yeah, I'm kind of thinking if we cut it first, because obviously I can always, you know, tear it afterwards, but I don't want to, you know, tear it really tiny and then wish I'd left it bigger. So I'm thinking cut it first. Yeah, I probably wouldn't get 3. Well, I mean, I guess it depends how big those labels are going to be. Maybe I would get 3, so perhaps I should just do this small area. So hold on a second, sorry about that, I just had to get my scissors. So yeah, I'm thinking we could probably get 3 out of here. So if I just kind of fold it just to get my, you know, my guidelines really. So yeah, I'm going to just cut this here. And like I say, I haven't quite decided, you know, whether these are going to be better cut or torn, but We just try the first one, I think. Just cut first of all. So obviously, because I've made this quite narrow, I'm thinking maybe make this as a smaller label. So now, do I want to cut it here? Let me just have a look and see. Yeah, so I'm going to cut it actually kind of pretty much along that stitching. Okay. And then, oh, let's just use this one. So I've just cut down the edge like that. Okay, so that's my little label. So, you know, there's no stamping here. There's no, you know, drawing lines with rulers or anything like that. Heaven forbid that we would have to do that, because mine would be probably even wonkier than they'd turn out on the sewing machine, if I'm truthful. So, sorry, I'm just now looking for my distress ink, which now seems to have disappeared somewhere on the desk. Hold on a second. Honestly, I've got so much stuff just piled up on my desk. It's not really any wonder why it's now disappeared under something. So hold on 2 seconds while I just grab my spare ink pad, which is just behind me. Okay, right, there we go. So, okay, right. So I'm just going to ink around the edges here. So this inking around the edge is acting like a bit of a, you know, like a frame, or, you know, frame divider. It's going to divide it and make it sort of stand out from the background paper. So I'm going to be putting this onto this, you know, this plain lace, pale, you know, muted lace. Sorry if you can hear my thingamabob pinging. It's again people messaging me. Right, okay, so going to pop that down like that. Do we want that there? Yeah. So I'm just going to take that with my tacky glue. Oops, oh, first time that I've used it now today, so now it's now misbehaving. Honestly, this is just going to be one of those days, I'm afraid. I've already stopped the video, what, 3 times? Okay. So we just, oops. A lot of glue has come out there. Right, okay. Like that. Okie dokie. Right, so just squish that down. Now I'm going to kind of spread that with my, you know, I'm actually using this big chipboard sticker as a glue spreader at the moment, but whatever you've got to hand. Now obviously you want to be slightly gentle when you're spreading your glue, because you don't want to end up damaging your stitching or anything like that. So just be a little bit aware that, you know, these are stitched lines, so you just need to be a bit careful. And then I can just cut my label like that. I'm just going to trim it down on this edge as well. So how gorgeous is that? And then of course what you could do is, you know, as a variation, just round your corners, or if you've got one of those you know, like corner chomper things, you know, that would do like an inner corner, you could do it that way round. I feel like I did used to have one, but I don't think I've got it anymore. I haven't seen it for years anyway, so yeah, we'll just go with the rounded corners. I mean, as it happens, that was my big rounded corner punch, which actually I think the small one would have been better for this, but anyway, I'm sure that, you know, you get the gist. So that one there. So let's do another one, and let's do a variation on this. So let's bring that pink paper back in. So shall we do this as a torn label? Okay, so I'm just going to tear this around. Now, obviously I don't have that much to play with, if you see what I mean. So I just need to be a little bit careful, you know, how I'm tearing this. Whoops. Oh my goodness. Like that. Okay, this one. Okay, so, and again, I mean, I just really like to ink the edges. I'm just going to cut this off because this is the thread where I, you know, went back and forth. So yeah, we'll just ink the edge. a little bit. Now what you could always do at this point is go around the edge with something else, you know, maybe like sort of, I don't know, some black stays on, or, you know, even a felt tip pen or something like that, because that would give that a bit more, you know, definition. And, you know, you're going to get a lot of different looks then from these. So just pop that one down like that. And again, just take my glue spreader. Again, just being slightly careful how I'm spreading that. Okay. Oops. Okay, now do we want to have two torn edges or do we want to cut it? Let me just try cutting it first and see how that looks. Because like I say, you can always then go back in and tear it, but once you've torn it, you can't necessarily tidy it back up. I quite like that on the square base actually, so I'm just going to make that perhaps slightly smaller. Like that. Okay. Like that. Okay. That's that one. Looks pretty nice, doesn't it? So, I mean, I just think there's something a little bit different, aren't they? I mean, I do apologise if anybody has done these. I hadn't seen them, but I'm not saying they haven't been done. You know, they, you know, more than likely they have, because obviously, like we always say, I mean, you know, there's a billion different videos out there. So, you know, it's unlikely that I've kind of picked on something that hasn't been done before. So this one here we've got on the pale lace paper. This is also more of the pale lace from the blue set. And what we could do is we could make kind of a longish journaling spot. So if I just take this paper here and cut it down. So just cutting it straight way down here. So, you know, what is quite nice about these is obviously, you know, if you buy labels or whatever, you know, they're obviously the size that they are. But this way you can really kind of tailor them and keep them, or tailor them and make them, sorry, the size that you would like them to be. So I'm just going to, again, cut this down. Now, the only reason I'm doing that is because I didn't separate my thread. So you can probably see I've got a little bit of thread going where I just turned the paper rather than, you know, snipping the thread and starting a line again. So that's that one. Now, again, just going to ink around the edges. A little bit like that. Okay. Okie dokie. Oops, like that. And then here, just move this one out of the way so we can see a bit better what we're doing. So, yep, we can have this one stuck on here. So, straight down. Okay. So this is where I'm saying if you used copy paper, you know, you've got obviously a lot of detail already going on your piece of paper, you know, with all these lines. Copy paper's thinner, it may tear. I increased my stitch length to 3. My stitch length default is 2.5. I increased it to number 3. Mine is a digital sewing machine. It's a Brother, I think it's an FS40. Yeah, and I went with stitch number, you know, length number 3. Which is just, you know, slightly longer. So hopefully it's not just piercing the paper, making holes and tearing it. It's actually stitching. So that's that one. And then obviously we can just cut that down here. Like that. So I'll just take that down here. That down on the edge. Oh, that edge now is way thinner than this one, so oh dear. Right. Okay, well I'm gradually messing this up, but there we go. Like that. I'll just move this out of the way. So, I mean, I just really, really love that. I think that's quite a nice kind of practical one for journaling on. You know, so let's do one more with the blue here. Hold on. Okay, so we've got the blue one, and I have to say, I'm actually really, really, really loving that big size. You know, I think that looks really nice. But let's do a kind of medium size one. So let's do here like this. Like that. Okay, oops. Get rid of my threads. I have to just take this down slightly more. Only because I'm aware I've got to take that edge in. There we go. Oops. Okay, so that's that one. Now, obviously, you know, another sort of variation is, you know, rounding the corners and things of the actual label. So this one, we rounded the corners of like the backing. You could round the corners here of the label. So I'm just going to use my smaller corner rounder. I've got a large one and a small one. I've had them for years, so I couldn't tell you, I'm afraid, what sizes they actually are, but I got them, I think, from eBay. I got them at different times. I had my smaller one for a long time before I finally, you know, bought a bigger one. But yeah, they're great punches. But like I say, I mean, you maybe have got those little corner punches, you know, where they do like the fancy corners, and that would look really nice too. So use what you've got. So we just look around here. Okay, so that one. Now, do we want to put it on the blue, or do we want like a bit of contrast on this one? Maybe the contrast would be nice for a different look. Perhaps we'll do it on there. So again, just glue this down. Now, when I made these stitch labels before, obviously they did not have lines on them. They were stitched like a frame around the edge of the label. So these are a different look. I have refrained from stitching around the edges because I feel like that would be like too much stitching. Again, you know, it might be worth trying. Maybe it would look good. But, you know, in my mind, I feel like that would look too much. But, you know, it's always worth having a go, isn't it? Because you might find actually that looks fantastic. And that would sort of frame it as well. So we'll just take this one down. So I hope everyone's having a good day. I hope you are all managing to get some crafting done, having a nice time. Oh, the weather here is just so horrible. It's like one of those horrible grey, drab days again. So, yeah, it's not overly warm either. There we go. So that's that label. Okay. Now, you could also obviously edge this with some gold paint or something. I'm just having a look around to see if I've got any gold paint to hand. I haven't got any gold, but I have got this one, which is that bronzy kind of colour. So let's just take this. Okay. Oops. Now, this was that paint that I bought in place of the patina because I can't seem to get a hold of that patina anymore. It's okay. It's not as fast drying as the patina, unfortunately, which just makes it a bit more sort of not cumbersome, but tedious to use it because obviously you're sort of then waiting for it to dry and things, but it's okay. You know, the colour is good, and yeah, it's quite nice. I do wish it was faster drying though. There we go. So, yeah, let me just mop this up before I dip my arm into it. Okay, right, oh dear, making a big mess of my desk. There we go. So hopefully the camera's picking that up with the metallic edge. So I'm going to leave that one to dry. Obviously I've got the rest of those, you know, labels and things. Yeah, the lines, stitch lines. But let's just have a look now and see how you know, decorate these and things like that. And I just want to just pull in, for instance here, this is, you know, what I would possibly use as a tag base. So I just want to show you, I mean, obviously this one is a bit big and these don't particularly go, which is a bit of a shame. But, you know, this is how you then could use this as a label on your tag, you know, so you put it at the bottom, you could put it off, hanging off to the side, snip that off there, you know, up at the top. All of these different ways, and I just think they're really, really nice, aren't they? you know, they are a little guide. You know, I'm not suggesting you write on the line, obviously, but it just kind of gives you somewhere to kind of space your writing out and give you a guide for your writing. This one, obviously, like I say, it's a bit big for this. So, you know, if you were or if I were using this, I'd probably put it off to the edge actually, and then just cut it here. So it was like hanging off on the edge of that. Let me find one that's perhaps going to be a better colour mix. So this here, obviously pink. So it goes much better on there. So it's just really nice, isn't it? Just got this, you know, little kind of pocket. Again, could just have them down on the pocket. So, I mean, I think they're quite a fun one to do, and just a little bit different because we see lots of stamped labels and things like that. And I thought this was a little bit of a different sort of take on those. And then, of course, you could decorate them up. So I've just got here a bunch of little things that I thought you could use to decorate them. So I've got here some fabric. So an alternative to using the paper would be to pop it onto fabric. So I just snip that down here. Okay. Like that. Okay, let me just snip this edge off. Okay. So, you know, instead of using, obviously, the paper, you would actually just back this whole thing onto the fabric, which I think would be really nice. So, oh, this is still not dry, which is very annoying. Right, let's just quickly ink this up. Okay, put that down there. Now, unfortunately, I don't have my pinking shears here, which is very annoying, because obviously, you know, the pinking shears would probably be best for then cutting this fabric down, because I would say this fabric's slightly too big, really, for this label. But we'll just go with it anyway. So I'm using Fabri-Tac glue now instead of my normal tacky glue. Okay. There we go. Just pop that one on like that. And obviously, you know, when I've got my pinking shears, I'll then just obviously snip off the edge. For the moment, I'm just going to do it with a straight edge. I know that's a little bit weird because, of course, it's got pink and sheared edges and then a straight edge. But just to kind of demonstrate and show you, you know, how that would look. So obviously, I'm going to come in with my pinking shears when I've got them, you know, with me. And then, of course, you could decorate it. You could use maybe some fabric or something, you know, and just ruffle that to the side or something like that. I mean, that looks very pretty, doesn't it? Could even probably make that thinner. Just take that down. And this is just some fabric from my fabric scrap packs that I've got in my shop on my website. So this fabric's in, I'm not saying in every pack because they're picked at random, but yeah, a lot of them do have this fabric. So, you know, you could have something like that. So let's just glue that on. Oh gosh, would you believe my hot glue's now not on? I said it was going to be one of those videos, didn't I? So let's put this to one side and we'll come back to that in a second. Okay, so let's take our big one now. I've just got here a bow. So, you know, you could have your bow at the top or at the bottom. I've got a rosebud. You could have a little rosebud on there. I mean, actually, I think that's a bit much with having the rosebud and the bow. But, you know, just to kind of give ideas. You could have lace just running down the side. You could have lace running across the bottom. Oh, I quite like it with the lace at the bottom. So, yeah, let's put the lace on. And I mean, to be honest, you know, I was talking about popping these onto another, you know, ephemera type piece, i.e. like onto a tag, onto a pocket. But I mean, actually, there's no reason why you couldn't just use this now as a pocket on its own. You know, that would work wonderfully as well. So yeah, you wouldn't even have to actually be using this, you know, with any other item. You could actually just use this as the pocket, glue it down on 3 sides and have this on a pocket on a page. There we go. And I'll just put that on the top. Again, I just need to wait for my hot glue gun to heat up, and then I'll just use that. I've just got some pearly trim here, so I'm just going to try this. Yeah, maybe have something like that down. Oops. Down on the bottom as well. So I'll just put that to one side while I'm waiting for my glue to heat up. So then we've got these 2 smaller ones. So what was I thinking we could use for them? Oh, I have some more pearly trim there. I have got flowers, got another bow. So I've got this green flower. I'm not necessarily saying that green would have been the best colour choice, but I'm just, you know, trying to use things that I've got to hand, really. So you could have the green flower on there. You know, you could then tie it in with maybe like a pink pearly centre or something like that to bring in the pink again. I've got a pink bow. Oh my goodness, how yummy does that look? I must say I love how that looks. So yeah, I realise pink's not everybody's cup of tea, but I love a bit of pink. So I mean, even could finish it off like that with a bit of lace. Okay. So let's just pop the lace down. Oops. Sorry, just checking which is the right and the wrong side of the lace. I know I talk about this all the time, but oh, it's really difficult to tell. There we go. And then pop my bow on the side of there. So again, just going to move that to one side. Okay, then we've got this one here. So I've got this little bit of pearly trim flowers. Again, these are in my shop. They're in the trim packs. So if you're looking for where this trim is, it should be in the trim packs. I know that we did have a bit of trouble trying to get hold of more of this. So yeah, I think there may have been a few trim packs which had some alternative. It was, you know, similar-ish, more of a swirl rather than a flower. And I'm not sure that it had a little Diamante type piece in it, but yeah, hopefully we've got this back in stock now. Oh my goodness, isn't that one lovely? So, right, how's my hot glue doing? Hopefully warming up. Right, let's pop this one down here. Like that. Okay. Sorry, I've got glue thread stuck all over me now. Right, is this warming up? Yeah, okay, right. So we're going to have just this pearly flower on this one. And I mean, to be honest, again, these are another one of those TV crafts, because all you could do is stitch all your lines, you know, during the day or whatever, have all of your lined paper ready, and then gluing them onto like some backing and things, you know, putting some decorative details on. You could just do all of that just whilst watching TV. So they're quite a nice one, I think, to, you know, to just be able to do later once you've actually done your stitching. And I mean, actually, although I said I got bored, it actually didn't really take 2 minutes. I mean, I just, yeah, obviously get very bored very quickly, but there we go. Oh, I have to say, I think that one's my favourite. Right, just put that one there. Okie dokie, this one. This pearly trim is not in the trim packs. I'm not sure whether this is actually in my shop yet. I only just discovered this pearly trim, so it's, you know, it's a new thing to me. And what I normally do, if I find something, I try and then buy it and try it before I would buy more of it, because I don't want to, you know, buy things that I haven't tried in case I think they're not really very good. So yeah, I normally try and buy them and try them before trying to sell, you know, sell them then, or stock them. Right, let's put a bit of fabric on here. Okey-dokey. Right. Now, I like to always just ruffle fabric up, to be honest. Well, not always, that's not quite true, but yeah, I mean, putting it on here, just put it on and then ruffle it against that hot glue. It gives it a nice decorative detail. So you run your hot glue down, put your fabric over, and then just kind of pinch it every couple of, you know, seconds, like that. And it just gives you a sort of ruffled appearance there. Okay, and then we'll just obviously snip that off here. Oh my goodness, how gorgeous does that one look? I love how that looks. Now, do I have any more? Oh, I've got the green flower, which we rejected just now, but actually it would probably go quite well on this one. Just see if we can have a pearly centre, you know, pearly flower centre in there. Oops. Oh my goodness, that's lovely, isn't it? So yeah, just pop some hot glue there. I mean, actually, now that I've put that fabric ruffle on and things, I probably wouldn't even need to pink and shear that edge, because actually it all looks, you know, it all looks quite pretty anyway now. So yeah, I don't think I even need to worry about doing that. There we go. Isn't that just so gorgeous? Absolutely love it. So, right, this one is still drying. Let me just quickly, you know, dry it with my heat tool. Okay, so that's dry now. So let's pull that back in, and yeah, let's decorate this one. So I'm not sure what to put on this, I've got to be honest. Let's have a look. I'm just sort of searching around my desk and seeing whether I've got anything laying about, because I always like to just use things really that are just laying around if I can. And I can't see anything that's going to be remotely suitable. Oh, I've got this dark green ribbon. I don't think that's going to be quite right. Oh, what else have I got? Oh, well, I've got some of my black bling. Oh my goodness. I mean, already that's looking super yummy on there, isn't it? Let me just trim this edging off. Trim that down. Okay. Right. Let's take this lace. Sorry, all this stuff is piled high on my desk today. Well, not just today, piled high on my desk all the time, obviously, but yeah, let's take some of this lace. So this is just an ivory kind of colour, and yeah, I think it will work quite nicely with this. Again, it's quite wide, so I'm just going to just trim it down, because otherwise it will swamp it. So yeah. Now, do we want it at the bottom, or do we want it running down the side? I think down the side is quite nice, to be honest, from these, for these. So let's just pop that down, oops, on that side. Okie dokie. Like that. Oops, come on. Okay. Right, let's just mop that up. Okay, and then just get that black bling, oops, which is now stuck on the fabric tack. Oh my goodness. Right. Stop that from just pouring out on the desk. Can't find my little lid thing for it, so just put it laying down on the wipe, because I do like to leave it laying down when it's kind of getting a bit emptier, because it makes it so much quicker for when you want it coming out of the bottle. Okay, I'll pop that down there. There we go. Oops. Oh my goodness, how gorgeous is that? I might just have a new favourite, to be honest. So let's have a look and see. I've got a piece of ephemera here, which I just dragged in whilst I was drying this. Now, this obviously not necessarily the obvious choice, but weirdly just I thought looked gorgeous. Oh, and of course now I've put the lace on the other way, but there we go. Right, so turning it round, obviously that is, you know, taking up the whole size if we had the whole thing on, but you know, I always really like to use sort of a section of a label. So if I chopped the flap of the envelope down slightly, you could have that on there like that. How gorgeous does that look? So this is obviously from my pinks and purples. No, sorry, it's not from those. Anyway, it's the dark laces, the purples collection. And yeah, who would have thought that it would just look so awesome with that blue? It looks absolutely yummy, doesn't it? So yeah, you could just chop that down and have that put on there. So that gives you some good journaling space on there. So I think they're just really versatile. And to be honest, you could also just use them, just before we finish the video, just use them on a page on their own. So let me just pull in a journal and just show you how this would look on its own. So just get a plain page. Oh, actually, I did have another pocket here, which I thought, I'm just going to quickly show you how this looked. Oh my goodness, how yummy does that look? This is my Junk Journal Basics kit, and oh my gosh, check that out with that pink. Isn't that scrumptious? Like I say, I do appreciate not everybody's a pink person, but if you are, my goodness, doesn't that look scrumptious? So yeah, just wanted to show you that. That's just a pocket there. But yeah, it's really lovely, isn't it? So, but you could also just use these on a page on their own, completely, you know, not isolated, but you know, standalone, a standalone embellishment piece like that. And again, you know, you could just glue this just on the bottom, and that would be then a little tuck spot that you could then, you know, tuck a journal card in there. So nothing big, nothing kind of fancy at all, just literally that label, which is another reason why obviously copy paper might not be great. This is slightly more substantial, so would, you know, would work okay for that. But aren't they just gorgeous? So just showing you kind of how they would look on a page. I think they all look pretty nice. So there's those two. We've got this blue one. Again, I mean, you could just have that in the middle of the page, just with, you know, glued down on 3 sides. Have it as a little side loading pocket. How yummy does that look? We've got this one here. Again, doesn't that look gorgeous on that pink paper? Or equally, you know, on this page here, it looks gorgeous, doesn't it? And then we had this one where we decorated it as well with the fabric. So again, just showing you how that looks. Aren't they just scrumptious? So, you know, just very, very, very quick and simple embellishments there for your junk journals. So, you know, I mean, if you like quick and easy embellishments, then I think these might be kind of, you know, a winning one. So, yep, I really hope you like them. Hope you have fun if you decide to make some. And, yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks then. Bye.